families up here. We know my family is in this situation because we didn't have access to help him fight his addiction. When you turn to a system for help and what you get on the other end is death, why should we comply? Why should we be peaceful? Why? When my little brother didn't have to die. Alejandro was a son, a brother, an uncle, a cousin. What he will never be is a father because they took that away. I'll never be able to help him raise his kids. That's what they won't tell you. The things that you miss out on because they go into our neighborhoods trigger happy with stereotypes, condemning and judging us before they even know the person. This is what we get. This is what we have gotten for years. How is that fair, right? How is that fair for us and these families to live this pain day in and day out? We look to a system that we were brought up to ingrain in our minds that they were here to help us. So when we needed that help, we turned to that system, and what we got was not help. It was shooting my brother 5 times, handcuffing him after he had been shot, releasing a canine on him after being handcuffed and being shot 5 times, not giving any first aid so that he could be transported to the hospital to have a shot at living. It was sending 2 officers to my parents' house so nobody else would go to the scene, because I went to the scene because I heard the gunshots. I heard my brother die. How is that fair? Where's the accountability with that? When I stood there on scene, I was there before the ambulance. What kind of treatment is that? After they shot him and let him bleed out, he was shot by Officer Trevin Jenser. That's who shot him. That's who took my little brother. That's who took away my opportunity to be a tia to him. That's what took away him being a great father and everything else that he had the potential to be in this world. And for that, there will never be any healing for that. Because these reforms that they have been fighting for years, they keep fighting because they don't want us to know what they truly do. But we know that because we have the data. We know that our people that are brown, black, indigenous, and other people of color are 3 times more likely not only to be arrested, but to be fatally shot by officers that do not do their job to the letter of the law. And where is those consequences? Because from their consequences, I had to bury my baby brother. And I don't wish that pain on anybody. Nobody knows what this feels like for these families that are up here with us until you walk in those shoes. And even when we get accountability, we can't even get that, right? We have to be out here fighting for reporting, for transparency, for accountability. So there's a saying in Spanish that goes like this: El que nada debe, nada teme, which means if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. So what are they fearing? What do these officers fear? Why can't they not give us reports? Why do they victimize the families after they already took our loved ones away? We're not asking for the world. We're asking for reports. We're asking for transparency. Why not put those funds that they get, right? $745 million or billion, I don't even know, all that money. What I do know is that our education is suffering. Our mental health program is trash. Our police force is one of the deadliest forces in the country. Our unsheltered community has no help, and they victimize them. Where's that money to teach them first aid? lying on the dirt. So where was the money for that training? Where's the money that they use to clean up the drugs off our streets? Because I see that everywhere. Our education needs money. Our critical services for family needs money. We don't need cops because they are a reactive answer to problems. We need proactive action. That means that we should fund the programs that will get us proactive action. We're done being reactive. They fix nothing. They show up after the fact. So where is the proactive action that our communities need to heal so that these families do not keep stacking up here? That's what we want. I want something that will prevent another family from having to memorialize their loved one on their arm like I had to. Other than memorialize having to put an altar together for our loved ones because that's all we have left. Them on pictures, on tattoos, on shirts, on posters. When they should be here in the flesh because that's what they deserve. They're human. And we keep, this city keeps prioritizing a job over human life. Where is the justice there? So that's what we're here to do. We demand accountability. We demand transparency. We want these reports so families aren't having to fight 7 weeks in the heat to get a report. April 29, 2019, Alejandro Hernandez was shot by Officer Trevin Jansen. August 26th of 2020, I have no medical examiner's report. Where's the accountability there? When someone can answer me that, I'll stop showing up, I'll stop causing noise, and even then I probably won't, to be honest with you. Because I don't want another family to feel this pain. Because I'm not afraid to talk. Yo no tengo nada, yo no debo nada, no temo nada. I owe nothing, so I fear nothing. I was born and raised in these streets of Phoenix. I'm a native of this land, and my parents are native. Even though they came here undocumented, they're native because this was Mexico land. So I will never leave these streets because I'm going to continue to fight for the families that do not have a voice because they're afraid, because they've been intimidated. They've been intimidated by this corrupt and violent police department. I'm not scared, and I'm not going anywhere.
I think as we're hearing right now is that there is no justice, there is no bringing back what this department, what this police, and what the city has taken away from these families. And the least that they can do is treat people humanely. The least that they can do is give over the damn reports, give over the unedited footage, to stop placating to the police union, to create systems of accountability and transparency. And as we heard from Ana, that we're ready to find solutions outside of them because they do not, the police does not solve problems, they never have and they never will. And they're racist at its core. And we see this happening in communities of color, in working class communities. There's an issue where we're coming here as multi-generational, multilingual, multiracial unity, because at this point the police are killing everyone. And so we also have here Ryan's family, and we have then James' family. And so I'll open it up to Katie with Ryan's family.
My name is Katie Baeza, and my brother is Ryan Whitaker. He was shot and killed by the Phoenix police on May 21st of this year. The officer, Jeff Cook, shot him twice in the back, missing once. Sanctity of life. What have you heard here today that makes you believe the Phoenix Police Department prioritizes sanctity of life? I'm sorry, I thought I could do this. When the police police themselves, training doesn't matter. You can have the best trained officer out there, and if they can get away with what they can get away with, it does not matter. They police themselves. We have body cam video, yes. 56 days after my brother was killed, we did receive body cam video. We had to watch my brother be murdered with our own eyes. His whole entire family, his daughter, my family, my kids, we all had to watch this. It is still heavily edited. Just because they released it to us, it's still edited. That is not transparency. My brother had the wherewithal within those split-second decisions that everybody likes to say the police have to recognize the police, go into a submissive position, put down his weapon, and was still shot in the back. My husband's showing a picture of my brother's back. That is the laser pointed on my brother's back while he's submitting. This is what a trained officer does. So don't tell me they need more training. Do you want to know what else they did? They have attorneys represent them moments after they murder someone. So that's where your money goes. Stop putting money into police backing lawyers and put money into our communities. It's a little cliche because it's going around Facebook, but the safest communities do not have the most police. They have the most programs. These communities that are funded well, that have programs for their children, for their elderly, for their mentally ill, do not need the police that you see in this area alone. I stand with all of these families today. Just like my brother, every single victim here was a human being and should have been treated as such. Human beings. Why are the police continually, and this has been happening for a very long time, continually escalating situations? Why are they not de-escalating? Why does it take an untrained man who just got done celebrating his daughter's graduation in his own home, listening to music, having a great time? Why does it take an untrained person like him who's not expecting to be in the situation he's in to de-escalate? And an officer still escalates and shoots and kills him. This is a problem. And to say that it's not is ignorant. In this day of information, to say you don't understand what defund the police means, to say that you don't want to defund the police because we need police, how about do your research? How about understand what it means? How about it means that a lawyer isn't present representing someone who just murdered your loved one while they're interrogating the only witness without reading them their rights, with drilling a false narrative into their head. And I'm just going to say some other things that I'm going to just bring this to light. My brother was not rendered aid. He died alone on the concrete. The officer that did not kill him, John Ferragamo, Jeff Cook killed him. John Ferragamo stood by and did not render aid. This officer has 2 medals for life-saving tactics. He knows how to save a life. Also, recently I was reached out to on Facebook by another victim of Jeff Cook. I want to know how many more of you are out there, or how many more of you are victims of any of these officers that have been named. Because as we well know, information gets scrubbed. That's another problem. We should not be scrubbing records. Those records should follow them. They shouldn't be police officers anymore. They should be fired. Any officer that is involved in violence against a human being should be fired. We militarize our police without employing rules of engagement. We hold our military to very high standards. They cannot engage with an enemy in enemy territory unless engaged upon. But our officers can just shoot and kill someone on our land, our streets, the land of the free. Something needs to change. And I don't know how you reform any of that. So, this is my niece, my brother's daughter. She no longer has a father. He should be here. He did nothing wrong. He was in his own home. Everything he did that night was within his legal right. Thank you. Thank you.
And as we said, as council has been on vacation, 3 more people have been killed. And one of those families is James Garcia, and his family that's here today. So Denise is going to speak with us. Y para decir un poco nomás en español, lo que las últimas familias han dicho es que esta policía, no importa qué tan entrenados digan que son, no están escalando situaciones, no están respetando la vida, no están tratando a la gente humanamente. Que este departamento no puede seguir siendo solamente reformado, porque hemos visto que las reformas no han cambiado, que este número de gentes muertas sigan creciendo. Y que por eso siguen aquí las familias exigiendo justicia. Y ahora tenemos, durante las vacaciones del alcalde, la policía mató 3 personas más. Una de esas familias, una de esas personas es James García. Y aquí está Denise para hablar con nosotros.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to introduce my son, James Porter Garcia. 55 days ago, officers from the Maryville Police Precinct shot and killed my son, James. My son, James Porter Garcia. My memory, my heart. I want justice for James, and I want justice for all. Wondering if and when our community, city, and state leaders will hold themselves accountable to mandate and implement prompt release of police-involved shooting investigations, police reform, best practices for de-escalation strategies, respect, and dignity while working in our communities. Police officers, it's a profession that our communities depend on to serve and protect. Wearing a badge should never be about power and control. Wearing a badge means to serve and protect. When did the lines of ethics become so blurred that our city, state, and community leaders, governor, mayor, city council, city manager, county attorney, chief of police, and the police union all turn a blind eye and create an abomination to the culture and climate of the Phoenix Police Department? All of you are elected officials and responsible for change. I am pleading with you as a mother and as a community member to hear our plea, to see us and to hear us. After reviewing the police recruiting requirements, nowhere does it provide training for de-escalation. In fact, it states that our police are required to protect, serve, earn trust, respect of our community. In closing, I will ask, who among you leaders will stand for victims and justice? Justice for my son James, and justice for all of these families that are here today, and those who are not here today. Thank you.
Thank you. And so with that, the families, some of them are willing to do individual interviews, so you can ask. And again, we're here because the council came back today after vacation. The mayor has not said anything, and we want you all as media to call the mayor and ask her about Mohammed's case. Ask her why did the police ridicule her. Ask her how can she stand by as a hate crime against a Muslim man was committed and it is captured on video. When is she going to say something? When is she going to do something? Ask her about Ryan Whitaker's family. Ask her about James Garcia. Ask her about Alejandro Hernandez. Ask her about Francisco Valdez. Ask her about Hector Lopez. Ask her about the 107 people that have died under her leadership. Ask her how much longer and how many more people have to die for her to do something. And then also call the county attorney and ask her, when are the independent investigations going to happen? And call Chief Williams and ask her, when are these cops going to be fired? And ask the council and ask them, when are they going to defund this department and start funding the things that can actually make us safe? And then with that, we have Sarah, who's going to close us off from Black Lives Matter.
What's up, y'all? I'm Zara. I am Minister of Activism with Black Lives Matter Phoenix Metro. And I just want to thank y'all for coming out. Thank y'all for standing with us as we stand together with many of, but not all of, the families of police brutality, the families that have been victimized by Phoenix police. Because individually they try to demonize us, they try to dehumanize us, they try to blame us, but you can see the common denominator is them, not us. They are the common denominator. They are the bringers of the violence here. And that's why today we are demanding from the mayor, Gago, from the city manager, Zurcher, and Chief Williams, we are calling on them to take immediate responsibility and do the following. We're calling on them to bring justice to the families, which include firing all of the officers involved in this violence. These murderers cannot be roaming the streets. If we care about public safety, we have to remove these murderers from the streets. We have to take their badges and their guns. That's how we keep us safe. That's how we have public safety. We're calling on independent investigations. The police cannot investigate themselves because, according to them, they are never guilty. And we know that's not the case. We're calling on them to release the use of force and incident reports and all unedited video footage to the family within 72 hours. There is no reason any of these families should have already had the footage. The least you can do after you murder us is show what happened. That is the very least you can do. And we're also calling on the release of video and documents to the family 48 hours prior to releasing them to the media. It is unethical And it is plain just wrong for the media to get access to these murder tapes before the families do. And to ensure we prevent and stop these murders, we're calling on a moratorium on hiring any new officers. There's a systemic problem here, rooted in the very culture of the Phoenix police that has led it to be the most deadliest police department in the entire country. You cannot bring on any more people. They will be infected by the rest of the rotten apples in the department. And in order to keep us safe, we know what we need to do. We need to invest in community. And they say we don't have money, we have money. The Phoenix Police Department has money, and that's where we're gonna get those funding. When we call on defunding the police, we're calling on it to invest in our community. We must understand defunding the police does not make us less safe. It makes us more safe. Because we're not just calling on the defunding of the police, we're calling on the investment into our communities. Many of these traumas, many of this violence could be prevented if we had adequate mental health services, if we had adequate shelters, if we had adequate public restrooms. These are the very basics. We're calling on increasing the social safety net. And that makes us all safer. So join us in calling on a moratorium on new officers and to defund the police to keep us all safe. Thank you. We're now going to transition to an open mic. We're going to create space for our creative resistance. And I hope that you join us to this next event. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out.
There's also flowers at the corners of the altar. We ask everyone, please put a flower on the altar. And we also have, we're writing postcards to these elected leaders. So there's also a writing station. Please write a postcard. We're going to mail it to them as well. So vamos a tener, hay rosas, les pedimos a todos que si pueden poner su rosa a las familias en el altar. Y también hay unas cartas para escribir. So si quieren hacer eso, escribir algo directamente al alcalde. Y va a empezar un evento de micrófono abierto que nos va a hacer semillas. And so on. Yes, there's water here. Please drink water. You might not feel super hot, but it is hot. Take water. And then, yeah, grab the flower, and then you can put it in the altar.
Hold on 1 second.
Black lives, they matter here. Say no to cops and no to fear. Black lives, they matter here. Say no to cops and no to fear.